Tear down.
What's good, people? We back up in this thing with another video, another reaction. This one might be a good one.
Where the button?
What you got going on?
I can't find the little thing.
It's right there in the back. What you trying to do? Push the chair back?
Down.
You kicking your feet like a little kid.
Look at you.
Not today, buddy. Not today.
Alright.
So, what we reacting to, babe? What we got going on here?
King Von, the Demon from O Block documentary.
Got a documentary, 26 minutes long. Hope y'all ready. Now go ahead and get y'all popcorn ready. Where my freaking mouse at?
Hey, come on.
Oh, there you go. I'm about to say, what the hell?
It was dangling over here like the whole time. Jesus, they do it already. October 27, 2020. I like how his dreads were.
Yeah, touch bases with like the family. Now I'm trying to have community. Now I'm trying to get places like
I just got my hair like twisted up like that.
good daycare.
Really?
Generate money and make community brothers. Now I got a lot of friends. Now my auntie next to line. Now my, you know what I'm saying? And then my friends. You know, I got kids.
You're trying to take care of the block.
It never stops. Like the giving can help you. It don't stop.
First mistake.
You get more money. As long as you got money, it ain't gonna be no problem. You know, I can't keep having money.
Can't think like that with everybody because everybody don't got the same mindset as you.
Nope.
Rapper who is among those who were shot and killed in a gun battle in downtown Atlanta. A total of 6 people were shot, 3 have died. One of them, a rapper Davon Bennett, who goes by the stage name King Von.
T-Mobile is upgrading its network at a record pace.
Already.
We were the first.
See what this documentary about. I like his music though. Music sound nice.
This is a paid promotion.
Get you to listen to some of his music videos.
The streets of Southside Chicago has been riddled with violence for quite some time now. Throughout all that violence, though, there were diamonds in the rough with immense amounts of talent in hip-hop, specifically in a location now known to the world as O Block. The people living there might have known of O Block for quite some time, but the world didn't until
So they did a documentary.
Lil Durk, Fredo Santana, Lil Reese, and
Why
many
you
more
look like
started
that?
to blow up. And as time went on, more and more
Yeah,
artists
look
started
crazy.
blowing up from that area, and
Let
Chicago
me try.
finally once again became a staple in hip hop.
Huh?
Just recently, an artist
I was trying to do it.
has started to blow up from that exact area through his unique flows and his insane street storytelling
can't do it.
abilities. He was just
You still
another
see
superstar
black.
from O Block, ready to take off.
That just hurt.
It don't hurt. Let's see if I can see it in the camera. Everybody looking at you like, what the fuck? Like,
Okay, I quit.
let's see if I can do it. Look.
Yeah, how you do it?
It's easy. Just roll your eyes back. Let's see. Y'all tell me if I did it right. I don't know. It feel like
Why
I'm
you
blinking.
blinking so
I
hard?
was say, I feel like I'm blinking hard as fuck. No. It's like you tried to do it, but that shit can't roll it to the side. Can't
I
roll
feel
it
like
to the
I'm going
side.
outside it. Okay, come on.
All
Let's
right.
get back.
I'm about to start the video. This is acting
Davon was
crazy.
born Davon Bennett on on August 9th,
Daquan
1994.
Bennett.
And he was born on Parkway Gardens, also known as O Block, located specifically on the 15th
Are they reading from a Wikipedia?
Drive in the south side of
Most
Chicago.
likely.
He was raised in a broken home with divorced parents. He never saw his mom and biological father together. His father ended up serving time in prison, and when he got out is when he officially met his father, but he was only roughly 8 years old, so he doesn't really remember it. Then a couple months later, after meeting him, his father was killed. Despite that, King Von ended up getting good grades in school, whether it was through elementary and through middle school. However, around middle school is when King Von said he started getting involved in the street life, because when he got out of school, he was bored and decided to explore the streets with his friends. And around middle school is when he officially met Lil Durk, and they started to hang out as close friends.
Don't nobody really know when they started being bad. That shit was really regular. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I just woke up one day, I was bad as hell. I don't know what the fuck happened. I was just getting this ADD. I don't know what happened. School, you
The
can't
people
school
you hang
over there.
around with.
Nice people, nice people out there. Alright, so now I'm going out faking now. See, fake nice and being, productive and all. I'm doing my work on the school. So now I'm out of school with the people that ain't doing shit. But on the street, all they know is being loud, mean, telling what they're doing.
Yeah, that's exactly why you act like that.
Now,
You just been around it.
As time went on while being out in the streets, King Von said that he never joined a gang. Instead, he was forced to be in a gang, which would end up being the BD's Disciples. And the reason why he says he was forced to be in the gang is because of the environment he grew up in. If you weren't associated with the gang, you would end up getting beat up every single day and robbed. So you had to be associated with the gang for protection and just for
Man, but you don't need to like
I ain't
fully
doing
be in the game.
It's
I
like-
mean, you
Since
still
I'm over
repping
here,
the same
you know what I'm
type.
saying?
About
Yeah,
say
shoot,
hard.
yeah. Like if you would have grew up, if you would have been
But
born
if you-
while I'm at,
Hmm?
you would have
But if you get in the gang, you can't really do nothing about it.
But
You can't sit there and pretend because you're gonna be around the gangs all the time.
that's what I'm saying. Like you are, but even though you're not officially in a gang, you still behaving like you in a gang. That's what I'm saying. Like the stuff he was still involved in was still like gang type stuff.
Yeah.
Even though, so that's what I'm saying. Like you might as well should have been in one. You gonna do the same things that a gang gonna do. Like I feel like you was trying to be different,
But
and then lead down that path. But like O Block, you might as well say O Block is a gang. You might as well say like everybody from there, Hill, Cheeky, all of them is like cuckoo. Like you might as well say.
That's what it is. Or you ain't going outside.
And with that lifestyle, obviously came trouble. And the first time King Von got arrested was when he was a young teenager. He got put into juvenile for allegedly
Rob
armed
somebody at
robbery of a
gunpoint.
vehicle, and because he was so young,
That was
they gave him the
hilarious.
option
Doing the
of
same
boot camp.
stuff
He
Game's
took that
doing.
immediately and got out pretty quickly. While his friend Lil Durk was rising in the music scene and becoming a star, he would end up getting into more trouble. And on November 21st, 2012, King Von was arrested and booked in Cook County Jail for unlawful possession of a firearm. And at this point, King Von says he dropped out of high school, which would be his junior year in high school. Without being in
he's
school,
almost
he
dead.
devoted himself to the streets fully.
He's
By the
almost
time he
finished.
hit 19, he caught a huge case that potentially could have gave him life in prison at the age of 19.
Exactly.
This was the shooting that occurred on May 29th in 2014. Then on
One
July
count
24th,
murder, 2 counts
2014, he got
attempted
falsely
murder.
charged with first-degree murder and 2 counts of attempted murder. King Von ended up spending 3.5 years
It's a bad
trying
start.
to fight this case, and while being in prison, he didn't waste any time being in there. He ended up getting his GED, and on top of
I
that,
think, like,
he
once
ended up
the
writing
jury
his
charge
own
came,
music for the first
should've-
time ever, because he was planning on beating this case, getting out, and focusing on music, like Lil Durk had told him to.
And then they charged me with Caleb just got out for first degree murder and 2 attempt murder. They charged me with that shit. I beat that.
I would have skated after that first, and I'm
While in
sorry.
prison,
Fuck the
too,
hood
he ended
after
up
that.
getting
I
in a
ain't
cell
saying.
room with an 80-year-old man, and he would end
Like, you
up
get a charge, you beat it.
throughout
You
his
stay in the hood,
day.
get another
He would
charge, you
push
beat
him in
it.
his wheelchair.
Like,
He would remind
stay in
him
the
to
hood
take out his
again.
adventures when he went to sleep. And Of course, this old guy ended up calling him grandson, and he also got the name grandson because of how he was carrying
That's why
himself
he's rapping
in
about
prison.
grandson.
He was showing respect. He was showing he was a leader in the BD thing.
It be old
Now I
men
know
like
what
that
it
put
is.
themselves
What
like
he was
70
singing
put themselves
about.
like that was.
Why
That
he
I gotta
said
help him to go to the. I gotta push him in the wheelchair. They put me in there with a nigga that. Nah, for real, like I'm in the cell with a nigga that's 80. I gotta take him to lunch. I'm in the
Damn.
I don't even know this man, but he in my cell. I gotta take this man, cause you gonna leave this old man there. Stinking, he loud, he got his dentures in, he be chewing his dishes. He supposed to take him out when he go to sleep, so I'm, school, take your dishes out, man. I'm in jail and he sounds sad, but I'm his grandson, cause
So you dangerous, but you gotta help a heart.
man, you know you gotta shit over there. You gotta look out for your people, man. You gotta look out for your people or look out for you. You know what I'm saying?
After 3.5 years, he finally beat the case due to lack of evidence towards him. He finally got out, and at this point, he was 23 years old. And with all this time passed, he saw that his close friend, Lil Durk, was a superstar in hip-hop, and he decided that he needed to do something to get income that was legal. So
He
when
was
it
almost
came to
dead.
and Lil Durk encouraged that. He flew him out to Atlanta where he could focus solely on the music. And this is when he started officially recording music. It was towards mid-2018.
Like he been, I've been with him his whole journey again. And I ain't gonna lie, like he ain't never say nothing about rapping.
I really.
I was good there. So when he got out, he just tried rapping. So like his first song was like super crazy.
He's
Big
good
shout out to
shit,
Swag
too.
Bucks for sponsoring today's video. If you don't know, Swag Bucks is an easy way to earn cash and gift cards by simply he kept recording music in Dirk's house, and Dirk taught him how to write tracks. And eventually, he came up with the track Crazy Story. And when he released this track in December of 2018,
That's my genre,
everyone was
Crazy
going
Story.
crazy at the crazy storytelling ability of this track. And it was something completely different with multiple flows.
He made crazy story in my house. He ain't out the way the song name. So you get
He killed that damn
Kept
dog.
recording music.
The way to do it, stay in
Crazy
your
Story
business.
Part 2 with Lil Durk and Crazy Story Part 3. And by this time, Lil Durk officially signed him to his label, OTF, and Durk brought King Von
What do
all of his
OTF
interviews
mean?
to show him the ropes
Only the
of how to do
family.
things as an artist. King Von
Only
also
the
opened up
family.
a lot of shows for Lil Durk and performed solo in quite a few cities. And from this, he got a lot of money. And one of the first
I
things he did, he
sound
got
like stupid as
$100,000,
fuck.
was go straight back to
Didn't even know
his
that.
old neighborhood in O Block to give back to the people. He was very weary about trying to help his neighborhood, whether it's building daycares for children, or trying to give back to his community so it could be a better place. He did that multiple times. It wasn't just one time where he gave $100,000. It was quite a few times. However, King Von would run into more legal trouble, and this time it would be with Lil Durk. On February 5th, 2019, Lil Durk
Oh,
and
that's
King
when
Von
they had to
allegedly
separate.
shot at somebody in Midtown Atlanta where they robbed someone for $30,000 and more. This victim was shot and nearly died, and there were cameras there that caught the incident. So on June 2019, Lil Durk and King Von had to turn themselves in.
The rapper, whose real name is Dirk Banks, turned himself in at the Fulton County Jail earlier tonight. Police say he shot a man outside the Midtown Atlanta restaurant back in February.
Then Lil Durk's lawyer immediately worked to get bond
He had
set for
reason.
Lil Durk and King Von because they had no bond available at that time. The lawyer got to work and got the bond set. Lil Durk was released on June 21st, 2019 on $250,000 bond. Then just a couple days later, King Von was released on a $300,000 bond. Then immediately after that, King Von started focusing on the music once again. And as time went on in 2019, he started to learn how to become an artist, how to conduct interviews, and how to write tracks in full form, from hook to verse. Then he finally dropped his debut mixtape on September 20th, 2019, called Grandson Volume 1. And this
That's
mixtape
crazy. He ain't
was
even had that long of a
independently despite
bid at
being
it,
signed
going
to
at
Lil
it.
Durk's
That's what I
own
was saying.
family.
He almost made it.
Distributed by Empire Records, and it ended up peaking at number 75 on the Billboard 200 charts and number 37 on the U.S. R&B and hip hop charts. And the reception once again was amazing. He just kept growing his name in the music industry, and as time went on, he started gearing up to drop his second mixtape. The first single he dropped off the second mixtape was called 2 AM, on November 16th, 2019. Just a couple weeks later, he dropped the second single, Rollin', on November 29th, 2019. Then on February 21st, 2020, he dropped the third single, Took Her to the O, and this is one of the singles that caught a lot of heat and became one of his biggest records. And this song, to date, as of the making of this video, is his highest charting song on the Billboard Hot 100. It peaked at number 47, and on the US R&B hip hop charts, it peaked at number 14. Then on March 6, 2020, he dropped his second official mixtape called LeBron James, which is a wordplay of his favorite basketball player, LeBron James. And this mixtape debuted a lot higher than his first one. It peaked at number 63 on the Billboard 200 and peaked at number 36 in top R&B and hip-hop albums. With the success of the music, King Von was focused heavily on the music, but he still had a couple of beats going on, whether it was in the streets or in the music industry. The street beats that he had
away from
with
that.
his ops.
Why you always have 1,000 dudes behind him?
And King Von was with the beats.
Alright, you famous now, why you
the
still?
side, so they had a bunch of street beats. SBG Duck was best friends with a kid named Tuka. Tuka was murdered at the age of 15, and rappers that were part of the BDs, which was the ops, would make fun of Tuka's death, saying things like we're smoking on that Tuka. And King Von would actually do that in a couple other tracks, such as All These Guys featuring Lil Durk, and of course SBG Duck, being best friends with Tuka, did not like that, so King Von ended up inheriting that beat from the streets. SBG Duck even released a diss track towards King Von called I'm from 63rd. King Von would respond by saying it's trash. The other beats that King Von had were more industry driven. One was with Famous Dex and the other was with 6ix9ine. Despite all this, he kept focused on the music and he was gearing up to finally drop his debut album. The first single he dropped off the album was called All These Hitters, featuring Lil Durk, and this was released on August 5th, 2020. And this track peaked at number 77 on the Billboard Hot 100 and number 31 in the US R&B and hip hop charts. Following this, he dropped his second single off the album called How It Go on August 28th, 2020. Then on October 5th, 2020, he went on Instagram and announced his debut album, Welcome to Old Block, would be released on October 9th, 2020. But when October 9th came, King Von said he had to push the album back and instead released the third single off the album called I Am What I Am, featuring 5 Year Old Born. Then he revealed the album would be released on October 30th, 2020. But before the album
I can't rap for
one
shit,
more
man.
single called Bleach Place.
You'll get like us one day.
Then finally, on October 30th, 2020, King Von drops his debut album, Welcome to Old Block. The album debuted at number 14 and sold 25,000 copies within its first week. King Von, however, would never get a chance to see the first week numbers of his debut album because on November 6th, 2020, King Von would end up getting killed due to an altercation at
Welcome to Atlanta.
King Von that night was out and about promoting his debut album. He had scheduled an album release party at Atlanta's Opium Club on Thursday, November 5th.
You gotta stay with your
That
security,
night,
man.
and everything was going fine. King Von's manager says that after the album release party, they were all scheduled to go back to the hotel and sleep. However, Von's manager says that King Von was off that night for some reason. After the album release party, they all went back to their vehicles and started heading back to the hotel like planned. But King Von's manager says that King Von decided randomly to take a different turn and go to an after-party club. Von hopped in his security bulletproof truck with 2 other people and the driver and randomly decided to go to the after-party club. Once they got there, they realized none of the other people were there, so Von's DJ called and said, "Where are you guys at?" And that's when they realized that
Dang, he
Von
died because he thought that was gonna be a fight. No, boy, it's like I'm about to pop your
So
head.
after King Von's team finally came to the after-party club where King Von was at, they said that King Von was staying in his bulletproof truck for 30 to 35 minutes, not going into the club at all. King Von's friends decided to go back into their vehicles because it was really cold out that night, and they were wondering what is King Von doing. King Von's manager then comes to the passenger side of King Von's security bulletproof truck and asks him, "Why is it taking forever for you to go inside? Let's go." He then says, "Let's go." The security then checks the building inside and out to see if there's a threat. Now, King Von's manager says that they couldn't bring in guns to the club because it's a security risk, so all the security and everyone else who had weapons had to put it back in the vehicle. Von's manager says that one of King Von's friends came to the driver's side of King Von's vehicle and told King Von that Quando Rondo pulled up to the Atlanta After Party Club. And he said that Quando Rondo was essentially lacking, meaning he didn't have anyone around him. It was just Quando Rondo and a driver. And Von's manager says that right when King Von heard that, he immediately got out the car and went at Quando Rondo and started fighting him. And everyone at this time was genuinely confused at what was going on. Nobody in each camp was even prepared.
Didn't
Then
say
a
he
white
had a
car
gun,
pulled
though?
up and King Von
They wouldn't let it bring him in.
who that white car was affiliated with.
No, I'm
Out
talking
the
about
car
Quando.
came Lil Tim, which is Quando Rondo's friend. He comes from the backside of King Von.
Oh, it's his friend.
King Von's manager says that Lil Tim let off
Yeah, he was,
5.
you know, one of the gazillion people that's in the back of the video, he was one of them.
Yeah.
Besties.
One of the
Oh, you can't have all them people around you, especially when you start making money.
Von was using Quando Rondo as a shield while he was getting shot at. And when this happens, all hell breaks loose even more.
That's what I'm saying. There's no use to getting famous if you're gonna stay in the same place you was when you were down. That's
Yeah, they cut some people off. It's simple.
like, oh yeah, you got rich and left the hood. Yeah, 'cause it's the hood, you know, like, you gotta know when to outgrow stuff.
Immediately, the King Von got him and put him in the back
Kinda
of the
hard for
vehicle,
some people,
drove
though.
him to the hospital.
Yeah, have your friends come visit you or something. Y'all go take vacations together, stuff like that. Other than that, leaving the world at what, not even what, 25 years old.
They drove off to the
That's the same
hospital.
statistic you would have had if famous
King Von was
in the hood.
conscious the whole time, telling the people in the car to calm down and relax, and that he's going to be okay, because everyone in the car was panicking about what just happened. They drove him to the Grady Hospital in Atlanta and immediately started performing surgery on him. During the surgery process, he didn't make it. When the
26.
news officially came out, it was reported that King Von was in critical condition and that he was shot by the Atlanta Police Department.
Every
But as
picture,
time went
1,000
on,
people in the
we
bed.
realized, obviously, this wasn't the case. In the afternoon of November 6, 2020, it was officially announced that King Von had passed away at the age of 26. It was also reported that someone else had passed away as well. 4 other people were injured, including King Von's manager and Lil Tim, who was the one who shot King Von. A couple days went on, and Lil Tim was officially charged with the murder of King Von. And as time went on, more security footage came out. Quando Rondo's team and lawyers are now saying they are practicing self-defense in this incident. And in Georgia, we have a stand your ground law. And that means that if your
That's why
life
they was
is
trying to talk
injured
about
at
that
any
fight
moment,
before.
you have a right to defend yourself.
That way they can
whether
get
you
off
shoot at them
if it's
or
if it
don't.
was.
After this, there were a lot of rumors as to why Quando Rondo and King Von got into it. There were
Well, I had to
rumors
defend
that
myself for
because
that.
to be a young boy, King Von was dating the same type of female. But King Von's manager denied that. King Von's manager
I swear I can't with
a lot
you.
of rumors that were going
What?
around.
I looked up at the wrong time you said that.
That don't
I
have
thought you seen it.
No.
King Von's manager, however, did say that King Von went on Instagram Live quite a few times.
Trying to talk
said that
about
he would
nobody.
put hands on Quando Rondo and his team.
I
And he
can't.
never mentioned that he would use weapons if he ran into them. And of course, after.
What up, TV? What do you think my next movie is? Give it to me straight. Maybe it's just time I hang.
After King
That
Von's
shit
passing,
won the Super
his
Bowl.
album saw a huge uptick in sales the following week. The album ended up
I forgot Young Thug
number
had
5
dreads.
on the Billboard 200 charts and sold 41,000 copies that following week. King Von's family and management company have
Dang.
released a statement about how they're going to move forward
Yeah,
with King Von's.
you almost made it.
They said,
survive a
"Thank
little
you
bit
everyone
longer."
who has showed their outpouring of love for King Von. You all played a massive role in Von's accomplishments, and by continuing to play his music and sharing your stories about how he has inspired and influenced you all, you're keeping his legacy alive." celebrate
know when to
Vaughn's
let
artistry,
people go.
vision, and immense love that he has for
Friends
his
will know
fans,
you gotta be
wielding
just
his
character.
courageous rollout of Welcome to Omaha,
Know who to keep
while
rocking
working
with
to
and know
share
who not
unlimited
to. I mean, if it's gonna happen, it's gonna
He
happen.
devoted his creativity into completing.
Kind of
Vaughn
didn't
has
help
also been
it.
working on new endeavors.
Hey, you gotta predict people, because everybody ain't gonna take it how you take it.
Loved Vaughn's family and team. Vaughn had plans of putting on all the people around him. He was actually going to get most of the people around him signed to a
Like, most of the
record
people
deal,
around him,
have
half of them
$50,000
hating.
in their pocket. He went back to the block and given back $100,000 quite a few times.
Even giving them money, they still mad.
They just secret haters.
I only say that to say this.
Probably about half of
King
that
Von was
room
often painted by
gonna
the
still
media
talk junk about
as
him.
being
After all that he did out there.
didn't care about anyone at all. And days before King Von passed, he did an interview
Look at that.
where he explained how upset he was at YouTubers or the media in general that were painting him in such a negative light. Now, I'm not saying King Von was the most perfect human being, but we must remember that King Von is just a product.
That's how it is everywhere, though.
Any one of us watching this
That's
video
why there's so
now
many
can need
deaths and crime and stuff at the
we
same
were
time.
put
Though,
in
like
an
once you
environment
get
where every day
to,
was killing, every day was poverty, every day was
Ugh,
struggle.
once you get to a
yourself
certain level,
learn to
you gotta know.
savage because that's the only thing you can do to defend yourself in that environment. Vaughn himself in interviews has said he wishes his mother was born in a better environment because he would have turned out a lot better as well. But he says he was dealt the cards that he was dealt with, and this is how his life turned
This
out.
whole thing is sadly a lot of people's stories. Everybody got the same story.
You know, you was, of course, you was your home never got killed, but you know,
Because no,
it's
everybody
really
does the
different
same
streets,
thing.
so,
They get rich. Or everybody coming
yeah,
with
like,
me.
it'd have been. I wish I never grew up in the projects. I wish a lot of shit. I wish my mama had some money. You know, a lot of shit. If I could wish a lot of shit would be different, but it just happened like that.
And he tried to make the best of it. He was improving.
You want to live like that as a kid, but once you get the money, you
trying to put
don't.
on his friends, and unfortunately, he didn't get the best chance to do that. His life was cut short at the young age of 26.
I just wish he
While
had better
working on
judgment.
this documentary, I ran into a Tupac interview that is over 25 years old and still is true to this day.
There are a lot of controversy going on right now.
Another
about
case.
that. Water dropping in its throat and a lot of things that have resulted
People
in
close to you got too close.
It's bad for young people. Thank you, Congressman.
I said so many comments on this, but basically, it's a hypocritical view. Because what you're saying
He was the
is,
same age,
it's
ain't he, when
okay
him
for
and
us to
Biggie
live in
died?
the
Same
day,
age
in
King
the
Von
day,
died?
and less than you.
26,
It's
25.
not okay for us to tell people that we're living in this condition. Everything was cool, you know. The ghetto was okay. It was livable. It was habitable until we started talking about exactly what were the repercussions of living this type of lifestyle. What happens when you live in this kind of environment? What type of person the changes you into? Now all of a sudden it's like you can't talk about that. But this is what we live in. It's just, we don't have a choice. You know what I mean? It's either we really kill people, do dope, sell dope, and have murders and do all this crazy stuff, or we talk about it.
With that being said, I hope you enjoyed this documentary. Long live King Von.
Almost made it out. Just gotta get away from the
That's my only issue. It's like, if you live in the hood, you live in poverty, you've been around all of this BS all your life. You've been around people crossing them over simple stuff. That's what gets me. Somebody will cross you over a rat, and then you get all of this money and all of this fame, and you still deal with the same people that will cross you over a rat. Like, that was his friend. The one, he got him around him all the time, giving him money, breaking them off and stuff like that. He piggybacking off of everything that you do. And he envious of you the whole time. Prime example, he the main suspect when you died.
a lot of them just want handouts and all the time and stuff.
Right.
Then when that time don't come, they want to get mad at you and fight you and try to do shit.
That's
to
what I'm
you
saying.
and
Like,
all
you
that
know,
shit.
yes,
Like,
he did good things. You know, he made it through the ghetto and stuff like that. Or whatever, you made a name for yourself. But if you still keep going back to that same environment that was so messy, and the same type of people, the hood people, and you know the people like that is grimy and stuff in the world, don't be surprised when it go left. Because that's where it go. If I'm in the hood like Detroit or you know one of them hood places, Brooklyn or something like that, and I know. But yeah, that's.
But people have to read other people and shit. So like,
especially when you get money and fame, people get desperate.
Yep.
Not him, like the people around them, they get really, really desperate when you come up. Like,
they don't like that. Then they get so used to you giving them money and shit.
yeah, like the majority of that video, he handing out wads of money to all of these people. They not gonna look at it like that. They gonna look at it as, oh, he flexing, oh, he that, cause that envy is in them.
He's trying
Period.
to take care of his people.
But see, if you're an envious
like
person, you're not gonna take it as that. If I'm already jealous of you, I'm already envious of you, and I see you doing that, I'm gonna be more envious of you.
But that's what I was saying. Like, if he giving you like $25,000-$50,000, you might as well go ahead and do something with it. I mean, don't sit there and just envy over him and shit like that.
But see, that involves turning the mirror on yourself, doing something about yourself. These people not that deep. These is hood people. Once again, hood people,
right.
Hood mentality. Like, they not going to turn the mirror on themselves and say, well, maybe I should do something different so I could be on that status.
But
it's going to be the 360.
But you would think, like, if they see your friend doing something good and they up there to the top making millions of dollars right now, that should motivate you to do the same thing. Like, if he
but you thinking as you're not thinking as a hood person.
Yeah, true.
That's the thing. That's the catch-22. Like Suge Knight, for instance, he got all of that money, still thinking like a hood person to this day.
Right.
He is one of the biggest, producers and stuff like that. Still got that hood mentality. Still let him you up in the bathroom, like, and he big. He been around Pop, Biggie, Son, Drake, all of this stuff, and still the same hood mentality got him in jail right now. If that's what the hood mentality you want, you ain't gonna think he could touch all of that money in life and still couldn't get the hood mentality out of his head. And that was his own money he was making. Like, that ain't even like, oh, my homeboys got money. That was me making money. And I still couldn't get, and that's how some people, that's what I say, is for normal people, they would just look like, I'm going to use that, flip it, get on. But to the hood people, that was just I'm going to be more hating on you. Like,
you're right. People is crazy.
Anything to not look at themselves.
To learn how to read people, how to know their reactions and all that shit.
I mean, like, you are going to have real friends out there. I ain't saying everybody going to be like that. But you just going to have to filter that, especially when you make that crossover from hood life to famous. That's something you definitely got to look into.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the end of that.
We out.
We'll holler at y'all later. Peace out.